Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Having a Mom Moment podcast, where we dive deep into the world of motherhood and beyond. I'm your host, Shannon Warner, and I am excited to embark on this journey with all of you. Here's the deal. This podcast is your ultimate sanctuary, your sacred space to hit pause on the chaos of mom life and reconnect with the amazing woman behind the title of mom. Yep, it's all about those precious mom moments because, let's face it, we all need a little more time for ourselves. Am I right? So what can you expect from our time together? Well, picture this. We'll be soaking up wisdom from fellow moms, sharing their stories and triumphs and how they've tapped into alignment on their own motherhood journeys. It's like a mom-to-mom chat over coffee with a sprinkle of inspiration and a dash of humor thrown in for good measure. We're here to light up your soul, to remind you of your incredible power, and to celebrate the unique spark that makes you, you. Because when we take care of ourselves, we become unstoppable forces for good in the lives of those we love. So join me as we laugh, learn, and rediscover the magic of this crazy ride called motherhood together. Get ready for your weekly dose of connection and encouragement, because around here, we don't just mom. We mom with purpose and power in alignment with our true selves. Stay tuned, my friends. The adventure starts now. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so honored that you're taking your time today to spend it here with me. I know how busy you are, so it means a lot that you're taking the time and taking a few moments just for you. Last week, I shared an episode with kind of an overview of what I was seeing from Western North Carolina. Again, not ignoring the other regions impacted, but as a former resident of Buncombe County and Henderson County, North Carolina, lived in the region for over 10 years, and my people are from just on the mountain in Rutherford County, which was also impacted. This area is very near and dear to me, and watching everything has been truly horrific and just so gut-wrenching. At the time of recording this intro, it's been about a week since the storm hit, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, we have not heard the worst of it. There are people who are still trapped. There are people in very remote locations who are cut off, who probably have no way to let anyone know that they are in fact cut off. A couple days ago, I talked to my friend who owns an apple farm, and he was using his equipment. He was towing his equipment up to other locations to help dig people out whose roads had washed away or had been covered with feet of mud and rock and debris. One of his friends and one of his friend's friends have been going into impacted areas like Swannanoa, which was absolutely decimated, with heavy machinery to help clear spaces and clear roads to try to just help with the cleanup. It's going to be a while before rebuilding happens. There's still going to be in this cleanup mode for a long time. And friends, there is a lot of loss. There's a lot of loss. And whatever numbers you've seen on the news, I promise you they're wrong by a long shot. The stories from the inside, from boots on the ground, from people who are there, from people who work in the hospital, for people who are out actively as volunteers trying to support, clean up, and rescue, or what people who are working in official capacity are saying to their friends who are sharing the message. There are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of lives lost in this region. It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. And I will continue to talk about this because I cannot let the world look away from this catastrophe that has hit Western North Carolina and the surrounding area. As a mom, I hurt for all of the moms who have been scared, who have been, I don't have the words, who have been hurt, who are experiencing tremendous loss, who have had to make really hard choices and life or death decisions. And I'm just holding everyone in my thoughts and doing what I can and putting money where my mouth is and donating to causes. And I really encourage, even if you only have a few dollars, that you do the same. So you're probably going to hear this same message from me for many weeks, but there is a link at the top of the show notes that has a list of vetted local organizations who are helping in North Carolina, right in that region, as well as vetted GoFundMes that have been set up to help individuals and families in the area, either people who are helping their communities clean up and support them while the resources are limited, or families who have lost everything. These GoFundMes in this list are all either people that I know personally or are friends or family of someone I know personally. So these local organizations are a far better way to spend your hard-earned money to support the people of Western North Carolina than sending your money to the bigger organizations like the Red Cross. While I think it is important to continue to talk and share about these people and about what they're going through and to not turn a blind eye, I know there is also good in finding a sense of normalcy wherever you can. So I hope you enjoy this episode with my guest this week, Courtney Cecil. And it feels appropriate because she is a resident of North Carolina. Thankfully, she lived outside of the major path of carnage that was Hurricane Helene, and she's located in the Charlotte area. And I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation. You're going to find it really empowering. She and I have been internet friends for a while now, and I was so excited when she said she was ready to be on the podcast because she's putting magic out into the world, and I really admire and respect her. So Courtney Cecil is a proud wife and mom of 2 boys, an organizational culture and behavior change executive at a Fortune 50. She's an industrial and systems engineer, a children's book author, a lake enthusiast, an avid traveler, and a sparkling wine lover. She's a believer in building a movement to help busy moms reclaim their control and free time so that they can confidently remain in the workforce without losing their sanity or themselves. As the founder of the Working Moms Movement, she helps working parents learn how to combat burnout, manage stress, and find more free time. Her signature program is called the Life Management System, which she'll share more about inside this conversation. In this program, she'll teach you how to streamline your daily routine to more easily manage your workload, work smarter, not harder, both at home and at work, manage burnout by finding more free time for yourself, and time to enjoy with your family. I know you're going to love Courtney as much as I do. She is a force, but she's really fun to talk to as well. Please enjoy this conversation with Courtney Cecil. Hi, Courtney. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Shannon. A pleasure. Not just getting to spend the time on the podcast, but I feel like you and I saw somebody, well, they characterized this person as their internet friend. I was like, Shannon's my internet friend. Like we have talked for how long now? And I keep trying to convince you to move to North Carolina because I'm convinced you and I need to be having this conversation over wine instead of over the interwebs. But here we are anyway. At least we're able to commune this way.
First of all, let's put it out there. It's going to happen. I will get back down there because I did live there for 10 years, almost 11, but we will have this conversation in person over wine someday. And I was looking because I was curious, like I had mentioned, because we've already been talking for 30 minutes. I feel like we've known each other longer than we have, but it was November that we started connecting.
Not that long at all, but it was just, there was something about our energy where it's like, I found my people. I don't know what it is, but you know, and I feel like I found my people, Shannon. So really glad we're able to sit here and have this conversation, not just on the podcast, but the half hour we got to chit chat before it, because there's so much that we could talk about.
I'm going to need you to like squeeze into my schedule and me into yours more often, because I feel like this has been a long time coming, but I feel like there's going to be like part 2, part 3, part 4, even if it's just for our own personal enjoyment.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we connected, like I said, what was it, November? Yeah.
Yes, November.
And as soon as I saw your name, your handle, and knew that you were all about working moms, I was like, I know I'm going to love her because that is such a huge piece of what I identify with in my own motherhood journey is I'm a working mom. I'm not a regular mom. I'm a working mom, which I don't even know. What does that even mean, right? I think we're all working.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I have actually really struggled with that. Maybe you've got some advice for me, Shannon. Um, because when I really try to get to know the people that I connect with on Instagram. One, because I care, but two, because to better understand them as an audience, the better I am to serve. But I struggle to ask the question, so do you work? Because all up to your point, all moms work. They all work. And it's whether they're working for an income or not. I mean, moms are the most selfless people out there. I have some of my hardest working friends are quote unquote stay-at-home moms. They're not staying at home. They are boss babing all over the city. But that's a hard thing to ask, but there is so much when you think about how we spend our time, how we allocate our time. So much of our day is spent during our careers, doing the career thing. So I think that while to your point, all moms work, when you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day careering, whatever that means for you, you can't help but it be such a big part of your identity.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. And we are not saying one is better than the other. I used to have such a chip on my shoulder about like, well, I work and they stay at home. What the hell do we have in common? I'm doing more. No, friends, like think about the times when your kids are home from school and you don't have other childcare in place. Like, I
Oh
can't
yeah,
do
they are.
that.
I know that's it. Like respect, right?
Yeah.
I know that that's not for me. I know that I need that intellectual stimulation. And then you spend one day doing it, you're like, how the hell do they keep their head above water?
I know day in and day out arguing with little humans who don't share your same vocabulary, right? Over
Yeah,
Bluey or Paw Patrol or whatever the drama of the hour is.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, but
gosh.
it is something I find that I gravitate most to people who are career driven. And it could be that I just need that intellectual stimulation. I'm a highly curious person, or it could be because it's where I spend most of my time. But it was in the interest of that connection and in the interest of how much I care about making the new generation of moms successful and feel like they can balance it. That's what led me to standing at the working moms movement, because it is so easy in those formative years to think, how the hell am I going to do this? If I can't keep my head above water with one kid on maternity leave, how do I do it once I return? How do I welcome a second or a third or, whatever it may be? So there are people that come before us so we know it can be done, but it can all, I am confident it can also be done too without the person totally losing themselves. And that's where things start to go sideways for a lot of people. And what has just led me very passionately to wanting to connect with as many working moms as possible, because it's just kind of unfair how society is stacked against us. And it will take another couple generations for this to right size itself. So in the meantime, we just kind of have to band together as a sisterhood to help each other, because that's kind of that's the phase in life we are. That's the phase in the generational evolution that we're in right now. Is the sisterhood's got to fight for one another, since no one else is really doing it.
I love it so much. I love it so much. I know. I feel like if we were all swimming in this energy, the world would be a much different place. So we have to just keep shouting our message from the rooftops. I have two little girls too. So I'm like, I will be damned if they're living the same experience and nothing has shifted,
Yeah.
in 30 years when it's their turn. Like I refuse to let that be the reality. So I'm doing what I can from my little corner to
Well,
be
that's
part
what
of it.
I mean, like that's, and in the culture space, which is what I do in my day job, that's exactly how I spend my time, is like, you have to own your corner of the world in whatever way. That's how change happens. It's if we're all showing up that way, then eventually everyone's doing it that way, right? But that's so your benefit, like what you're trying to do to benefit your future generation of women. What I'm trying to do as a boy mom, two boys, like I kid you not, Shannon, I spend most of the time saying, son, you better freaking figure out how to load this dishwasher the right way. It's like, I am not going to have your future wife, either of you, like blaming me for not acting. So like, I am trying to help groom them to help and see things and be what a lot of generation of men are not for most of my friends. I'm very fortunate to have an engaged partner, but not everybody does. So it's owning our space is, I think, one of the best things we can do for ourselves and for our kiddos right now.
You're so right. And shout out to the engaged partners because it could not happen without them. When I hear people talking about like their man child of a spouse, I'm like, no, I would be like, move out of the way because I'm not taking care of 3 children. I've topped out at 2. Thank you very much.
Yes, no kidding. But I will say though, and I say this partially tongue in cheek, and I say it partially also like sincerely. If something happened to my husband, I'm pretty sure he's not getting replaced. Like I might find a wife. Like give me a roommate, give me a girlfriend. Like we will just raise hell together. We will have the neatest freaking kitchen. There will never be any pee on the floors. It's going to be awesome.
I've had this exact conversation as well. I feel like I have struck out. My dad used to joke that my husband has 2 older sisters and his dad passed when he was a teenager. And my dad used to joke that I didn't even have to break him in. He was already broken in. And
What a gift.
I'm so grateful. But you're right. I'm like, I don't have the energy to find another partner should something happen to him. And I'm not interested. I'm too tired. I can't.
Yeah, I know. I know. Because well, even as much as we might have helpful husbands, that doesn't mean that they still operate very differently than women do in the way that we think. And the horsepower that women have, to be quite like, that's probably the best way to put it. We pack a lot of punch. We can do a bunch of shit, process a bunch of shit. And that's just something, they are men and as holistically tend to be more mono focused. And I think it's just like, no, I need somebody with my level of horsepower. I need somebody that can keep up. I need a thoroughbred. I don't need a mule.
That's so funny. I think you're so right, though. I love the way you said that about horsepower and packing a lot of punch, which is so interesting too, if you pay attention to the idea of the feminine and masculine cycles, even just like your physical body of how we operate on a, let's say, 28-day cycle, whereas their energy and hormones reset on a 24-hour cycle. So it's like really fascinating.
Oh,
When you think about it, our energy is only the same. We have the same like day 1 of your cycle 12 times a year, so you only feel that way 12 times a year where they reset daily. So it is a wonder at all that we actually can show up and do the things that we do in
yeah.
in a patriarchy, in a
Yeah.
system that was designed for men who are working, like, whew.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that's honest to goodness. I think we are so incredibly handicapped as working moms. And even my girlfriends that stayed at home, they are still handicapped because I know one person who the man stayed at home. One. The rest of them, if anybody stays at home, it's always a female. It's all like the female is always the default parent. Like there's so much in society that's still stacked up against us, in addition to the biology components that you just referred to. And then you introduce the things we already know that made us moms, like, just having a baby and all the mechanics that come with having babies and taking that kind of time away. Like the cards are really stacked against us. And we have a long way to go before we're able to make any headwinds there. But that's why you have people like you and me that are trying to fight the good fight, whether it be in the way we parent or the investment that we're making in your podcast and my podcast, and trying to build a sense of community around others that are going through this kind of the same phase of life that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm. Please tell us more about what you're putting into the world to assist working moms, especially navigate our reality.
I am trying to take maternity retention in a little bit of a different way by not just focusing on maternity, but also focusing on the sustainability following pregnancy. So I have found that so many women do not feel like they can confidently return to work because they don't feel like they can confidently manage it all. And then more than anything, I'm finding the moms with kids between 1 and 3, where you're in the newborn years, you're like, you know what, when my kids start sleeping, things will get better. And then your kids start sleeping, you're like, oh, my body just needs to catch up. Or, it's always something. And then fast forward to a year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, where you're like, okay, nothing's apparently changing. This is just life. Life is chaotic with kids. It is hard with kids. It is hard at every single phase of kids. And it's just a different kind of hard. Like there's always something. So what I am trying to do is not like you can't fix this stuff. That's just the evolution of raising kids. But I'm trying to help moms in particular figure out what they can control. Okay, you can't control the fact that your kid is learning to sleep. You can't like that. You can take them to bed. You can't force them to sleep.
Right.
But like what are the things that we can control both at home and at work that will make life a little bit more sustainable? So that way we have, we are focused on the right things. We are focused on the things that serve us. And we are focused on only the things that serve us. Because the other thing that I have experienced is there is so much societal pressure, particularly with the introduction of social media, that we think we have to do life in the way other people do life. And that's just bullshit. Like we need to do life in the way that it serves us, because what I value and prioritize is probably different than what you do, Shannon. And that's not a bad thing. It's because we are two distinct humans with two distinct sets of value systems with two distinct family needs. So how I work with women to help them meet them where they are so they can be as productive as possible in as tight amount of time in order to be able to better manage their stress and most especially manage their free time, so that way they get to spend time doing what they want instead of feeling like they're doing the things they have to do. I'm trying to figure out, how do we maximize the amount of free time you get to do to have fun, to live life, whatever it may be, by putting certain things in place that will make that easier and make working and home more sustainable. And I had one of my old coworkers, she is married with no kids. She said, Courtney, when I hear you talk, when I hear you, the things that you are introducing to people, she's like, it's the same kind of stuff I need with no kids. It's the, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It is just how we use them. You might use them having kids, but I'm using them, with this commitment or that commitment. So I think there is an opportunity for many of us to figure out how we live life smarter so we can end up getting more out of it.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we're calling out and reminding women that you're supposed to have fun. You're not
Yeah.
just supposed to be the cook and the maid and, and on top of your job. Like life is to be enjoyed. And I know so many of us, me as well, I got caught in the like, ugh, oh my God, it's Monday. I can't wait till Friday. Oh God, it's Friday. Thank God. Oh, now it's Sunday scaries, and then you stick your kids in the mix somewhere too, and you're just not fulfilled. You're exhausted. You're angry. I've been there. There is so much more available to us.
Yeah. But not to mention that you are projecting that on your kids. Like they sense your stress, and stressed kids tend to come from stressed parents. So that is one of the things when I think about my own journey, my first 2 years with having both the boys, I was drowning. And then I knew something had to change. I knew that I needed to completely reintroduce the way that I do and things, the way that I show up, because that was not sustainable. But most especially, it was not giving to my children. Like it was, I was projecting all of the stress that I carried on my shoulders with them. And that is just not, I feel like I got it from my mom. I got a lot of great things from her. But one of the things that is more defining that I got from her is her natural stress levels. And I need to figure out how to break that cycle with my boys. And part of the way you do it is to have fun. Like they need to see me let down my hair. They need to see me get my hair wet in the pool. They need to see me throw a football and roll in the mud. Like they need to see that I can have fun and still be a child. And that's their favorite kind of mom, is when they get to see that. So
yeah, I would say too, they also deserve to see you taking time for yourself away from them. Mama's going to go do this for a little bit. Friends, when we like do things for ourselves, we are doing good by our children. They need to see it. whether they're girls or boys, they need to see it. And they need to feel the effects of us being more fulfilled and more relaxed and happier. It's better for everybody. It's better for your whole house. And you're laying a foundation too that then when you are working, you can show up in the workplace more whole and more rested and more fulfilled. If you're better outside of work, you're going to carry that into work and be better as an employee or a leader or whatever your role may be.
100%. And to take it a step further, Shannon, I would also say that our kids also need to see us balanced. So it's not that balance is not just doing things for ourselves. It is sometimes doing the hard stuff that needs to get done around the house or whatever it may be. So many of the people that I swim in circles with feel so much guilt taking time away from the kids to prepare dinner or to do the laundry or whatever it may be. First of all, I hope whoever's listening to this, you don't do any of that stuff unless you really enjoy it. If it is not your highest and best use and it does not serve you, then good golly, please find somebody else to help you with that work. But I also think it's important that our kids see us do that, because if you think back to generations ago, they didn't give in. Like, they did all the things. They were not there to entertain us. And while I think all of us crave more emotional connection than we were getting from our parents or grandparents' generations, that doesn't mean it has to be all or nothing. Like, there has to be that balance too of like, how do you have enough fun for your family? How do you have enough fun for yourself? How do they also either, both see you and participate in just the mechanics of keeping your head above water? Because it's freaking hard. And it's important that they learn that work ethic. It's important that they learn that things are not free, and that, like, seeing you do the hard stuff, because I really believe it also builds both appreciation, but also the level of maturity and sustainment they need to do what you're ultimately, like, your job is ultimately to raise your kids to be kind contributors to society. And you're missing the boat if you are not giving them the opportunity to exercise that and learn from you how to do that.
You're so right. There's so many things I could say. First, I will botch the statistics, so I won't even try. But have you seen the studies going around about like our children?
Surgeon General, that?
Well, that is a whole thing. We could talk about that too. But just that this generation of parents, like raising these children, that we feel like that we have to keep them constantly engaged and entertained. Whereas I know our generation did not get that, right? Go outside.
Right.
Home at dinner time, right?
My mom swears she did not do this, and we absolutely swear she did. We're like, I was the oldest of three. We swear she locked us out, and she'd like give us popsicles and like Gatorade breaks. So she wasn't cruel. Like, no, like, go outside and play. And I will tell you what, it brings us balance in so many good ways, but it also brings out the best in my kids. We're so fortunate to have a neighbor that's the same age as the boys, and the three of them pal around, and they're all happier because of it. Like, it keeps my two boys from bickering with one another. It keeps the other boy from bickering with his younger brother, and it will keep them entertained for hours in the best kind of way. And that way they're getting exercise. Like, everybody wins in that situation.
I think and this is a whole conversation for another time, and I am probably not the best person to have the conversation, but I think there's a whole level of anxiety that we carry of, well, I used to go screw around with my friends in the neighborhood for hours on end with no way to check in with my parents, and nothing happened to me. We live in a different world now. We know too much. We've seen too much. It's scary. So that I understand that that's at play too, and it is uncomfortable. But finding ways to entertain your children less, and whether it's to take time for yourself or to do the dang laundry, because it does have to get done,
Yeah.
they will live if they're bored.
Yeah. Well, gosh, it is such a skill to learn to be bored. I was just listening to a gentleman talk yesterday, and that's the whole point. He was like, that your anxiety is in check if you are comfortable being in silence by yourself, whatever that may look like. So he was talking about, so often we feel the need to surround ourselves with noise. Like, we have to be stimulated by TV or music or podcast or audiobooks or, whatever it may be, conversation with others. He's like, you first need to learn to be at peace with yourself And that is like, I know I'm like that. I 100% always have something going. And it's always in the interest of learning and growing, but he's like, sometimes you just need to be, and also recognize the shadow you're creating with others, which is 100% true too. And something I'm absolutely guilty of. Like, what message am I sending to my boys that they, like, whether it be me entertaining them or music or whatever it may be, like, no, you need to learn to kind of be bored. And because that's where all the best thinking happens. That's where all the creative energy comes from. There's a reason that we do our best thinking in the shower or in the car, like when we're carpooling or whatever it may be. It's because that's when we actually give ourselves the space to think.
Yeah. Yeah. Listeners of any duration or any length of time know that I am a big fan of meditation. Was not always. In the beginning, I was like, you want me to do what? Now it's my favorite thing. And I try to do it every morning. I am not perfect, but making time to sit with yourself is incredible. Like, especially I have a 2.5-year-old. She's so loud. She is wired so differently than our older one. And it's just like constant. So yes, I would love to start my day with silence. It's my favorite thing to do. So big fan of meditation. If anyone is looking to
Well,
start a
it's
practice.
something you can control. And that's one of, like, in the world of chaos, like general chaos, that is one thing you can control, is often starting your day early enough to spend time for you.
Mhm.
Because as we all know, I don't like to talk in presumptuous statements that often, but I'm willing to bet that anybody listening to this podcast has experienced this notion of getting sucked into your day, where the one thing or the two things or the three things that you want to do for yourself, you don't get to do unless you start your day with them. You start your day with the things you prioritize, and then you'll figure out how to fit everything else in. But if you start with everything else, you'll never figure out how to fit in your meditation or whatever it may be.
Don't save it for the end of the day either, because it's so easy to be like, never mind, I'm going to bed, or like, never
Yeah,
mind,
that's
I'll watch
yeah.
one more episode on this Netflix series that I'm binging.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something you really prioritize, you really do need to put it first thing. And that shows up for us, a lot of us at work too. Like, you think about the amount of times that people will show up and spend their day in their inbox. It's like, no, it's somebody else's to-do list. That's not your list. That's not what you prioritize.
Ooh,
Like, is like that's somebody else's priorities, not yours.
that's so interesting. Literally, okay, so we were talking before. I shifted from education to, a privately owned company in a completely different sphere. And at the time, my inbox was very rarely, full of things like it is in this kind of corporate
Mhm.
sense of life. Um, Parent emails, announcements, whatever, nothing major, just a few, usually totally manageable. When I switched roles, they were very much like, your inbox is your to-do list for the day. You first
Oh
need to address
no.
and it was, I hated, I was like, I have things to do. So I'm so glad you said that, because I have shed that ideology, but it took a long time, because I was like, no, 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 no. Like, these weekly reports that this person is waiting, like that's the order of operations. And then the inbox comes after.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's like, if you give yourself 5 hours in the inbox, it will take 5 hours. If you give yourself 5 minutes, it will take 5 minutes. So you spend time on whatever you need to prioritize, not somebody else.
I need you to expound on that just a little bit, because however much time you assign to something, it is absolutely true. That is how much time it will take. It is so
Yeah.
true.
I wish for the life of me that I could remember the name of the gentleman that is named after, but it is true. So if you time box yourself, and if you know that you only have 5 minutes to devote to something, you do that. And like, it's amazing. And some people will pick up on that. They're like, work really well under pressure. No, you work really well because you're time boxed.
Yeah.
And in ways that you did not give yourself the permission to do earlier. But that's also why it's so important that you start the day with your priorities, not somebody else's. Because it's kind of like, for me, your meditation, for me, it's working out. If I don't start my day working out, that's somebody else is speaking for my time, and that therefore I'm not speaking for my time. And that's not, like, this is my life, not somebody else's to make decisions on. So um like it is so important that you give yourself whatever time makes sense for that task, and then don't fuffle around, like do it, come in and do it, and then move on to something else. And no easier way to do that than like I'm a big fan of stacking like items. So like I'll stack this podcast is a perfect example. Like I know I was coming off of another video conference, so I'm going to do it right after that. If I had thinking zone time, I'm going to stay in zone time. But give yourself exactly what you need, stack things together, and that way you don't have the luxury of fuffling around. And like you're doing exactly what you need to do, and then you're able to move on. And that alone will give you so much time back if you manage to that.
I love how you said, though, not allowing others to like lay claim on your time. I'm so about being intentional, and I know when I've drifted, when I feel like my time is not my own, and then I feel like I'm out of control, and it can happen really quick. The backslide happens so quickly, despite how good of a routine you've had in place. The beginning of the school year will throw it. I've gone back to work through full time. That will certainly throw it. There's a lot of factors at play that can lay claim on your time if you are not incredibly intentional. Can you speak more to that and how working women moving through their days and their weeks can be more intentional about the time that they do have?
Yes, I would love to. So, a couple things. One, working women in particular inherently likely have a boss. And albeit there will be many entrepreneur women that probably listen to this, but if you have a boss, that is one of the most likely sources of people that will end up dictating your time. But that's where you as the individual have to come in and take command. So how do, if my boss is coming to me for something, and I've worked for CEOs. I'm not working for a CEO right now, but I've worked for 3 different ones. I've had some big bosses, right? But at the same time, I'm having to say, listen, you ask me to do this. If you're telling me you want me to do this other thing, do you want me to do A or do you want to do B? You get to choose, but there are 24 hours in a day. And that's a really hard conversation to have with people. And so much of it is recognizing and being super clear on your priorities. So when I work with people in my coaching business, we start by figuring out what you value and what you prioritize. Because once you know that, it allows you to get a lot more confident on the other things that other people might be asking you to do, because then you can say, you know what, that doesn't serve me. That doesn't align with my priorities right now. Maybe it will eventually, but not right now. So with your boss, that negotiation that happens at the end of a performance year or mid-cycle or whatever it may be, that's your opportunity to recalibrate on priorities. Because, and so often, I just had this conversation with a girl that used to report to me last week. She was talking about how busy she was and the accountability she has over her role. But what she's also doing, and what I used to have the habit of doing, is making other people's problems my problems when nobody was asking me to solve them. I knew that I wanted, because I cared so much, because this girl cares so much, we were trying to solve other people's problems, but they weren't ours to solve. Nobody was asking us to solve them. So part of it is saying, is this what I'm being asked to do? And if so, how do I negotiate something else off my plate? Or it could be, is this something that needs done now? Is it something that needs done by me? Those are all the type of questions you can be asking. If it is something you are being asked to do that is more volunteer capacity, it might still be a great idea, but that doesn't mean it's a great idea for you right now. So then you have respectful conversations about saying, gosh, what a great idea. And I would love to help you at a different time in life. Now is not the time. Maybe you can consider option A or option B. Maybe you can come back to me in a year, 2 years, whatever it may be. So that, like a lot of people feel obligated to say yes when we just don't need to say yes. And a lot of people pulling on that. So we unpacked professional, we unpacked volunteerism. The other part is the personal. And so often we do things because of inertia. So maybe it's not necessarily that somebody is trying to ask something of us, but because it's something we've already done or always done, we think that the only option is to keep doing it, and that's just not true. We have the option. We're adults. Like, high five, man, we made it. Like, we get to make decisions
Right?
about ourselves for ourselves. Like, nobody else gets to make them for us. I just talked earlier on my podcast about my hairdresser. I was at her house a couple of months ago, and her daughter did not want to go to gymnastics, and my hairdresser was complaining about having to take her. I'm like, wait a minute. So you don't want to take her and she doesn't want to go. This feels really obvious to me. Like, you just don't do it. You get to say no to that. Like, that's the easiest kind of time to get back. So some of the intentionality is just inertia, or the lack of intentionality is inertia, or, you just keep doing what you've always done because it's what you feel like you need to do. So you need to be critical about stopping saying no to something. And oftentimes it's because others are asking things of us that we feel like we have to say yes to, that no, we get to say no to. And you can do so respectfully. You can do, let's say you have a friend that wants your volunteer time. No, I can't, unfortunately, I'm not able to help you right now, but I'm willing to donate, or I'm willing, like, there's just so many other ways we can say yes to supporting others without having to give away our time. And there's the artful way to say no. And when you're able to do that, every decision you make is allowing you to intentionally take over and take back what you otherwise would be giving away. So I feel so passionate about this. We just don't have enough time. So that's the one thing that we can control more of, that we think we often feel victimized and feel like somebody's doing to us. No, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's how we choose to spend it. And you might choose to spend it, like, I don't know, falling asleep every night with your child because you want that time with them and you feel like that's what you need to do to get your child to sleep. Okay. You do you, boo. But, like, all these decisions they're ours to make, and there's 24 hours. I hope you make the most of them.
Mm-hmm. I know there are people out there probably listening going, I could never. You want me to tell that person no? You want me to
Yeah.
tell them I can't help them? Guess what? You'll all live. You'll all come out of it. Okay. I promise. I know it's uncomfortable and there's a lot of codependency involved where we're so concerned about what the other person will. Set aside the boss piece for just a minute. Let's just talk about in your personal relationships where someone's asking you to do something that you're really not available for, but either because of inertia or a feeling of obligation, you continue to do it or continue to say yes to things that are not aligned with your time or your energy or your desires. But you think, what's going to happen if I say no? How are they going to feel if I say no? Let them feel that way. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. And if that makes some determination on who you are as a person or what your relationship is and what it stands for, my friend, we've got bigger problems.
I'm so glad you specifically called out the obligation piece, because that is something that you are giving away freely, that you like, for what? And I actually said this to my neighbor last week. She's so good at saying, you know what, now's not a good time, or that doesn't serve me. And she does so unapologetically. And I respect the heck out of her. Hasn't impacted our friendship at all. We engage how it makes sense for us to engage, but she's so confident about saying, now's not the time for this. Even if it's a social hangout, like, it doesn't matter if it's a volunteer thing or if it's a social obligation, or work. There are ways that you can politely say no in all of those circumstances. At work, it might be renegotiating responsibilities. At home, it might be in the form of, I'm so happy for you and so excited for you, and it's just not the right time for me. But it is our responsibility to ourselves to own that, to own saying no, to own our time. Nobody else is going to do it for us. And to your point, Shannon, doing it for other people because we feel obligated or because we feel like we're going to let them down. What's worse, letting yourself down, letting your kids down because you're not able to be present with them because you're so stressed? Like, that's got to be your priorities. Everybody else is prioritizing themselves. Why wouldn't you? That's like, you're the only person that can do it for yourself.
It makes me sad as someone who's done it myself to think about how many women out there are probably letting themselves down day after day, week after week, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. Because
Yeah, and
we don't
we
realize
just
we have a
talked,
choice.
but it's 100%. We feel like we have to, and it's like, no, we are adults. And I can't remember if this is before we started recording or not. We had such a great conversation before we even started, but it goes back to the brand thing too, Shannon, where from a brand perspective, we really get to control how we show up. And my house manager, when she was saying to me just this morning, I'm afraid he's going to think I'm weird. I don't care, Priya. You're not weird. Like, you show up, you like, people will say and think what they're going to think about you. You know that you're an awesome person. Own that. Like, own that. And that's a very similar kind of energy to this. It's like, no, you need to own for yourself what's important to you, what you value, what you're like, how you need to be spending your time. Like, own your space. You might let some people down. And as you just acknowledged, that probably tells you everything you need to know about that person, and they are not serving you anymore.
Hmm. It's so freeing. I know it can seem so I don't want to use the word bitchy because I don't think it is, but when you're not used to seeing women doing it, you're like, "Oh, that's different." It's like, "No, she has decided what she is worth and what she's available for." That's not bitchy. And the more of us that do it, it's more freedom for those around us to go, "Hey, that
Well,
feels a little more aligned, right?"
well, that's it. And there have been so many people, including Priya, my house manager. She's like, wait, what? You're not going to do that? Or you can say no to that? Yeah, girlfriend, you can. You can.
Yeah.
If it doesn't serve you, you absolutely get to say no. Again, they're 24 hours in a day. And I feel like incredibly generous with my time and give a lot, and I will show up with bells and whistles to most things my friends plan, whatever it may be. But at the same time, there are real capacity constraints. So I'm like, I was just joking with a girlfriend. She works at the same bank that I do, and we were trying to figure out a time to get together, and she's about to go out on maternity leave. And I was like, I have time set aside. I was like, my next lunch slot is in November. And she's like, what? She's like, that's 3 months away. Yeah, but my lunch slots are gone. Like, this is, there's limited capacity. I'm not afraid to commit to friends. So I'm going to prioritize getting them with friends. But I also know that I can't fill my calendar up with social lunches 5 days a week because there's just not enough time in the day for me to do that. But I will do 2 to 3 days a week. And those end in November, or like, that's when I have capacity. So I can't wait to have lunch with you then. And it feels so ridiculous, but and like, I mean, I wish I had more, I wish all I did was socialize. It sounds a lot more fun than what I'm doing at the time at work, but it's just kind of the nature of reality. And that takes that intentionality to realize that I have to prioritize my obligations because nobody else is gonna.
It sounds silly until you think about how long it takes to actually schedule something and get something on the books with a friend anyway. Like half
Yeah.
the time it takes that long for you to have the conversation, do the back and forth over text. Someone forgets to respond because that's life. And next thing you know, 2 months has passed. And it's
Right.
November anyway. So here we
Yeah.
are.
Yep, exactly. But that is, I mean, like that, because I know my capacity, because I'm very clear in what I prioritize, which now it's standing up working moms movement. I want that to be successful. So my capacity during the day is a little bit more limited, because I need to get my day job done, because unlike days of old where I would work at night, I'm not working at night for my bank. I'm working for my business. So it kind of pivots things, but it's because I'm clear in what I prioritize.
Mhm.
That I have the wherewithal to confidently say that and know that I'm not disappointing anybody, most especially myself. Like, I'm still serving with this business, and um so it kind of helps me understand what I have to orient everything else around in order to make it happen.
Okay, please tell us more about Working Moms Movement. I'm a big fan. I've been enjoying watching it grow and your following grow and what you're putting out there. So tell us more, please.
I would be happy to, Shannon. Thank you for the invitation. So Working Moms Movement is a collection of service to working moms everywhere and helping figure out how we make life more sustainable. It's freaking busy. The introduction of work makes it hard. The introduction of kids make it hard. Adulting is hard. Like all of this collectively is just
Yeah.
really exhausting. So my Working Moms Movement, I have a podcast that I have just released called the Life Management System.
Yay.
About that. I speak in organizations. I have maternity retention programs in organizations, but I also work individually with in the B2C space with people, with moms, directly with moms who are just either burned out or overwhelmed or chronically stressed or chronically figuring out there's got to be a better way to do this. How do we do it? And that's my expertise. I am a industrial and systems engineer by training. So a lot of Six Sigma project management work, that sort of thing. But professionally, I'm a behavior change expert. So I have combined those two technical skills that I have to help as many working moms as possible figure out how they can do life in a more sustainable way. And I do that by helping them build what I call a life management system. And the idea is that we get really clear on on you as an individual, what it is you value, what it is you prioritize, and then we reorient everything else around that. So that way you are anchoring back to your own individual priorities and values, because what the way you need to do life is very different than the way I need to do life. So that it cannot possibly be a one size fit all. So I do take on some one-on-one clients, but I mostly take on clients in the group space. So that way we also get to have fellowship together, because it is hard, and there is nothing more powerful than a group of women cheering each other on, and the wisdom of other people being able to say, so it's not just my expertise, it's the other women too, saying, you know what? Hey, I had a similar situation with my son. Here's what I did. Or, you know what? I also experienced that with my boss or my mother-in-law or my friend or whatever it may be. And here's how I handled it. So it's just a really beautiful thing to see women supporting women, and to see the women inside. I lovingly call them team mom, um, uh, because in my mind, team mom, like the notion of teaming is about, there's something inherent about how you show up. So I love the girls inside team mom. We are close, we are intimate. And I'm just really grateful that I have been entrusted to become a big part of their life, and be able to help and connect with as many people that I am, especially people like you, Shannon. Because I tell my husband this all the time. I'm like, I know starting a business is an investment. I know it's hard. We paid for your MBA. This is my MBA. And regardless of what happens with it, I have gotten to meet so many badass people, and I've learned so much other stuff about just kind of business 101, that it's been worth its weight in gold, just in the experience and the people and whatever it may be. It's been a real honor.
I just want to echo that. I have learned so much and met so many incredible people, but women specifically in the last year and a half. It's been insane. It's been such an education. So I'm right there with you on that.
It's
Totally.
also kind of crazy how, coming from corporate America, how big the world is. And I
Yeah.
underappreciated that. And that sounds so silly, but I came from a really small town, really, really small town. I'm the daughter of and granddaughter of small business owners. I didn't come from a corporate setting. Even my in-laws, they're all in the government space. But that's all I've spent my entire career in corporate. And because of that, it was so easy for me to just, I don't know, kind of dismiss, unfortunately, and not intentionally, but unfortunately dismiss this mass population of people that do life different, that are not in the middle of corporate America. And that alone has been really cool and just very humbling to realize how small I am in this sea of really freaking big people that do really awesome things that I wasn't even they weren't even on my radar. So that's been really fun too.
It's amazing the people that you bump into, and I don't think it's any kind of mistake at all. The episode that went live today was with a pediatrician who lives in Melbourne but was born in Sri Lanka. In my regular day today would I've ever met this woman or had the
Yeah.
opportunity to talk to her? It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's amazing. And there's so many incredible things that these women are putting out there, you included. It's just like, oh, magic. What a time to be alive. I love it so much.
Yeah. 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 I do too. And I've just had to be super intentional in order to fit it all in of doing, I tell my girls this too, the women inside my program, I got to do B minus work at this stage in life. I would love to be able to do more. I'd love to be able to give more. I know where my brand standards are and they're not there, but like giving what I can is better than not giving at all. Being able to be a B minus person means I have plenty left in the tank for my family, my friends, me, my work. Like it's the way that makes it sustainable, and will allow this, to prosper. But I believe that theory that like this is a stage in life to do B minus work, that's for moms everywhere with young ones, especially. Like it's, yeah, like, yes, it is a hard stage, but your level of control, your level of chaos management, for lack of a better term, that you might be used to, like those standards might need to be relaxed, but that's okay. That's okay because it means because you're relaxing your standards, it means you're showing up and being present in a way that's really big, not just for your family, but for yourself.
That so resonates. And I just had a conversation the other day with a friend who now has a 1-year-old. So she's in the thick of it. She's done it long enough to be like, oh, this is life now, right?
This
And
is
she's
actually hard.
working, right? And we were having a very similar conversation, but I was like, friend, we also have to realize that our B minus, we were using percentages. I was like, our 80% is a lot of people's 100%. So like,
Yes.
let's give ourselves so much grace already because our B minus is still amazing. It's still great
Yeah.
work.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it doesn't, zap us, but
Yeah.
at the same,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's, I would much rather be a B minus now and still be able to have time for the things I love. Like I
Yeah.
will let go of things I can in order to be able to be present for the things I love.
And I look at my boss who I'm getting to know, and I know her children are older. One is in high school and one is off to college. And I'm seeing her and how she's able to show up a little bit differently in this phase of her life because her kids are doing their own thing and require less of her time and her energy. And there's a space for this season that we're in right now with littles. I think if your kids are like elementary, middle school age or younger, or toddlers, which is a whole different animal, as we know, there will be time to come back around. And if you want to show up with your A plus self, you can do that again. But you're giving us so much permission just to remind ourselves that there's a lot of things that we can't control. And sometimes just doing our very best, even if it's a C plus day, like that's
Yeah.
fine, you
Yeah.
know?
C plus days. You and I were
Yeah.
just talking about getting over sickness too. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's C plus. Get
Yeah.
yourself a nap, get yourself a snack.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Drink some water. And then when you feel better, have a glass of wine.
Yep, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
gonna be fun. It's gonna be fine. We're all gonna make it. But there's a lot of us out here cheering you on. I feel like I just want to be like, my job is cheerleader. If I could just cheerlead for a living and be like, you're doing it. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
Shannon, you show up like that from a brand perspective. Like speaking of personal brands, that is how you show up for other people. So kudos to you because that is truly energy giving to so many of us. And it is that level of encouragement that inspires people like me every single day to be like, I can do this. I can do this. I got this. I got it. But I just know that your encouragement, you're like, and you are like, you can tell that you're a high I, like that high influencer. It goes so far for so many women. So just know that I see you, and that you are making a big difference for a lot of people.
I received that. Thank you so much. I needed that. It's very sweet. And thank you for seeing me. And seriously, if someone needs some cheerleading, just slide into my DMs because any woman going for anything they're excited about, I'm like, yes. Even if I don't understand it, I'm like, yes, I love it so much. I may need some context to understand, but I'm so excited for you. Oh my gosh. I could talk to you all day. And we're going to do this again. Okay. Okay. But
But one of these days we're going to do it in North Carolina, live, but I will just continue to remind you of that every chance I get. And, but for now, it's been a pleasure.
Oh my gosh. Before you run off, please tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow you, how they can work with you, about your new podcast, all the things.
Yes. Well, so the podcast, let's start there. It's called The Life Management System. It is a snack size podcast. So the topics, when I finally start bringing people on, everything will be in very digestible amounts of time. So we're talking 9 to 15 minutes, because my goal is to make it something that you can listen to, maybe even at 2 times the speed if you listen like I do, like a little chipmunk Courtney in the background. But I want you to be able to listen to it when you're getting ready for bed, or when you're commuting to the grocery store, something very regularly in your day. But it's Life Management System. It is all about essentially how to increase your productivity and at the same time minimize your stress. So would love to have you there. It's a new podcast, so all the love you can give goes a long way. I would also really love to connect with anybody on Instagram. I have that connected with Facebook, so you can look me up there too. But on Instagram, I'm at Working Moms Movement. I'm very active on there. I try to be incredibly engaged with the people that I talk to and connect with, because that's kind of what gives me life. That's what at the time of life where I am playing exec by day, playing parent at dinner time and night, like when I'm burning the midnight oil to build this business, it is the relationships with people like you, Shannon, that I'm building that inspire me and want me to keep going. So would love for anybody to add me there, and of course, be able to strike up a conversation while we're at it.
Courtney responds too. We've been talking for months, and it's really her. Yeah. Oh, Courtney, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad we can make this work. And next time we'll definitely do this in beautiful North Carolina.
I am looking forward to that, Shannon. Thank you so much for having me here.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing this space with us today. Before you go, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources mentioned in today's episode. And hey, while you're at it, why not give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Having a Mom Moment. You can also visit havingamaMoment.com for even more mom-inspired resources. If you've enjoyed today's conversation as much as I have, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future episodes. And it would mean so much if you leave us a glowing 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, remember to embrace those mom moments, find alignment in your journey, and always honor the incredible woman you are. Take care, friends, and we'll see you on the next episode.